Okay.
Thank you. Would you mind prayer for us today?
Whichever looks expedient. He's going to talk about the hospital. Right.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Lord, don't listen to something. Make sure it's right. Oh, it's fine. Hey. I mean,
I don't think they know that part. Yeah.
Hello, sir.
I will. Okay.
Raise your.
President, you ready? I see.
Did you do all right today?
Well, I was just wearing this in honor of my colleague who gave it to me. That's not a symbol of aspiration.
All right.
All right, Commissioner, Mr. Clerk, let's get this ball rolling. It's 3:35 on January 31st. Welcome to our Caddo Parish Commission work session meeting. Mr. Clerk, could we please have a roll call?
Commissioner Hopkins.
Here.
Commissioner Johnson. Commissioner Jackson.
Clerk, he's here. He's in the back.
I did see him, thank you. Commissioner Young. Commissioner Burrell.
Here.
Commissioner Jones.
Here.
Commissioner Gage Watts.
Present.
Commissioner Talaferro.
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Atkins.
Here.
Commissioner Chavez.
Here, sir.
Commissioner Lazarus.
Here.
And Commissioner Epperson.
President.
All right, I am counting 10 of 12 present.
Okay, please.
Two
let-
absent. That
Let the
is
minutes
quorum.
note that Commissioner Johnson came in during the roll call.
I did include him in those present. So I think I've got Commissioners Jackson and Young are who I have as absent at the moment, and we will update that if they arrive.
Okay, thank you very much. Commissioner Gage Watts, would you please lead us in the prayer, and Commissioner Lazarus, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Yes, sir.
Everybody please rise.
Let us pray. Oh God, how we humbly come before your throne of grace and mercy, Lord. Giving you, Father God, all the praise, all the glory, Lord, for another day. God, we invite you into this meeting on this evening, Lord. We ask that you would give us wisdom and guidance to make the best decisions for the citizens of Caddo Parish. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Place your hand over your heart. Military and veterans render a proper salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Gage Watts, and thank you, Commissioner Lazarus.
Sir.
Mr. Clerk, do we have any agenda additions?
There is one potential agenda addition today. If you refresh your digital agenda, you should see one item, which is to authorize an appointment to the Caddo Parish Broadband Committee. And this is from Commissioner Gage Watts, who offered a name to be submitted for the Broadband Committee. We just reached it after the agenda had been published, so
Okay.
it's on there as an agenda addition.
All right, so we'll need to do a vote to suspend the rules to consider this? Is that the?
No, you just need to see if, do a public hearing to see if there's anybody here to speak for or against the expansion of the agenda.
Okay.
To include this item, and if they're, after you close that hearing, then go ahead and vote on it, and that vote does need to be unanimous.
Okay. Well, we will open up the meeting to a public hearing to see if there's anyone that is opposed to suspending the rules and adding this to our agenda. The item is to add a, let me see, here we go. A potential agenda addition, authorize appointment to the Caddo Parish Broadband Committee of Miss Fami Roots to the Caddo Parish Broadband Committee.
Famia.
Pardon me?
Famia. Famia.
Famia, sorry. Anyone to speak against this? Anyone to speak in favor of it? Okay, with that being seen, none, Mr. Clerk, let's call a vote on expanding the agenda to add this item.
Should be able to vote, yes. And that motion does carry with 12 in support, none in opposition. So we will expand that agenda item later on. And the next item on our agenda today is commission remarks. That's communiques, reports, and other items related to the work session agenda.
Let's see, anyone have any communiques or commission remarks? Please, if so,
There's
please get on the board.
Administrator report.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I went right over citizens' comments. I apologize.
Well, I didn't see any,
I don't know where my eyes just went a little further down the page than I intended. So yes, I'm sorry. Right now is the time for citizens' comments.
do you have any citizens' comments?
I've not received any requests. I know there are a few citizens in the lobby. I don't know if anybody intended to submit a request. If so, you can give it to us right here. If not, they may just be here to listen.
Okay.
Okay. So that brings us to visitors. We have no scheduled
Wait.
visitors on the agenda today. Yes, we just need. Did you get a full? No problem.
One moment, please. Thank you. Welcome, Ms. Poche, to the Caddo Parish Commission. What would you like to visit with us about today?
We're talking about Ordinance 6191.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, great. Hi, everyone. My name is Madison Poche. I'm here in two capacities. One as the new
Ms.
executive
Poche,
director.
please speak a little. We can't quite hear you. A
Oh,
little.
sorry. Is that better? Oh, wow. Okay. I'm here in two capacities. One is as the new executive director of the Highland Center, or community center based in the Highland neighborhood. And two is as a supporter of Louisiana Advocates for Immigrants in Detention, or LA-AID. Just for a little bit of background, my friend Francis had called me about a year ago and said, you may not know this, there are now 8 ICE detention centers in Louisiana. A friend of mine's going out of town. We might need a help for 2 weeks or so as people just go from Gina, Louisiana to the airport and get on their way. It's all legal. We just need to kind of fill a gap. And so now a year later, they have helped over 1,000 people. It has grown into a pretty significant humanitarian effort. I think about Frances, who quit her job to make sure that every single person who was traveling in Caddo Parish was safe. It's quite heroic. And you know, in other states, like 3 hours away in Dallas, IRC has international effort to work with asylum seekers, make sure they're resettled safely, and we have a group of volunteers that have been doing that here. So it's at kind of a great personal burden, I guess, is maybe not the right word to use. They have built a lot of capacity here where no other organization exists. So we've been raising money on Venmo to make sure people have meals. We can park at the airport and get them back. But over time, those numbers have really added up. So any support from the Caddo Parish Commission would be greatly appreciated.
You all have another 50 seconds left.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, sorry, I'm Frances Kelly. I'm with LA Aid, and I was actually mostly here to see if y'all had any questions about the companion resolution, which was number 13 of 2022. I did send another version to Commissioner Young and Commissioner Chavez just a few minutes ago with references for all of the facts that are in that resolution. I know there are a lot of numbers put out there, and so I'm here if there's any questions about that. We would be happy to go over any of the information in that, but I'm mainly just here to answer questions if you guys have any about the content of that resolution.
I'm sorry, we appreciate you offering, but we can't take questions in this section of the agenda. But thank you so much, and thank you all for your work at the Highland Center. Commissioner Johnson, did you have
I was gonna make a motion to extend the time, but she.
Okay. All right, thank you. Thank you all very much. All right, any more citizens' comments?
That's all that we've received. So would you like to move on to
Yes, please.
visitors? Again, we do not have any scheduled visitors today. So now that brings us correctly back to commission remarks, where we have communications, reports, and other items related to the work session agenda. You also do have an administrator report attached there.
Okay, I see Commissioner Hopkins on the board.
Yes, sir. I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules to allow Mr. Grant Sluter to come up and speak on Resolution 15 that we have later in the day. He's here now, and he will have to go back to New Orleans.
So you'd like to,
I'd like to just move it up on the agenda.
so that
and
he
go
can
ahead
get back
and
on the road to New
handle
Orleans?
his part of it, yes,
All right,
and the resolution.
We had a motion to suspend the rules to allow Mr. Schluter to speak, and a second from Commissioner Young. We'll have to vote on that. Any comments on that? Mr. Chavez, Commissioner Chavez?
No, mine was on the communiques. Sorry
Okay.
about that.
All right, so Mr. Clerk's all right if we do that vote now?
We should do it now.
All right, this is a vote on yes will allow us to suspend the rules to allow Mr. Schluter to speak so that he can get back on the road.
Okay, thank you.
Whoops. Hold on. There we go.
Commissioner Jackson,
And that motion carries with 12 in support, none in opposition.
Okay, I guess, Grant, could you want to come up and brief us on this issue?
Yes, sir, and thank you very much, and I will be brief. This is
Point
for
of
the
order,
North.
Mr. Chairman, can we have everybody seated in this chamber? We still on the COVID-19 protocol, and the commission meeting is not the place to get up to hand out proprietary information. If that's the case, I got folks who sell cakes and tea cakes who might want to come down and pass them out. Our bylaws say that everybody should be seated.
Mr. Settle is stepping out. All right. Grant, please brief us.
Thank you. This is for North Caddo Hospital Service District. This is a pure economic refinancing of one of their outstanding bond issues to reduce the payments that they're paying on this bond issue for the hospital and saving sales tax revenues that won't have to be applied to pay principal and interest on this bond issue. This is going to the State Bond Commission for approval. Once we have the Bond Commission approval and your approval Thursday, we will RFP the various banks and seek proposals to refinance and reduce the debt service of principal and interest payments each year. And actually, we're going to shorten the term of the bond issue a little bit. So it's purely an economic refunding. We'll save taxpayer money.
Okay, thank you, Grant. Any questions for Mr. Schluter? Seeing none, thank you so much for briefing us, and have a safe trip home.
Well, thank you very much, and I do appreciate you taking me up early. Thank you very
Yes,
much,
sir.
and I hope you have a good meeting. Thank you.
Okay.
And
I see Mr. Chavez on the board. I guess, do we need to
It's still
make a
from the
motion?
communiques that had never taken off.
Pardon?
It was left over from the communiques.
Okay.
so do we return to the regular?
Yes,
So
let's
we'll return to the regular spot on the agenda? and then
Return
we'll
to the regular
move
agenda.
So moved.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Stormy Watts to return to the regular agenda, and Commissioner Hopkins seconded that motion. Do we have, can we accept that by acclamation? Anyone opposed to going back into regular agenda? Okay, back to regular agenda we go. Mr. Clerk?
That brings us to the, I believe we were at, we are under the section of commission remarks.
Yeah.
And I think just prior to the administrator report, I don't know if you wanted to take that first or if you wanted to take communiques first.
We'll take communiques, because I think Commissioner Chavez, did you say you're on the board for communiques?
I am, or under questions for administrator. I'll take it either one. It's for Dr. Wilson.
All right, we'll go ahead and address Dr. Wilson.
All right, thank you, Chairman. Dr. Wilson, I sent the legal department a question earlier. I had received an email from our appointment on the MPC board that they were asked to not come to the meeting just because until they know what's going on with the MPC, the Parish Commission, the Rural Commission, if they were to make rulings while sitting on the MPC, if they were legal, if they would be standing. I know later on in our agenda we're going to vote on putting board appointments on the Rural MPC board or our Rural MPC. So I guess my only question would be, do our parish appointees, is it of the opinion of our legal team that they need to resign? Do we need a legal letter? How should we go about taking the current situation with appointments that we have serving on the City of Shreveport MPC, their appointment and their resignation, what needs to happen? And then lastly, one of the board members who I think has great institutional knowledge that's currently serving on the MPC, we have placed on our agenda to vote for her on the rural MPC. And the reason I say she has great institutional knowledge is she's been serving on the board. I think it would be advantageous to the parish if she served on our board. So would it be a conflict if we appointed her to this board on Thursday? Do we need to ask her to resign before Thursday? Or what's the legal opinion? I know that's a couple questions, but I'd like to get that answered before Thursday so we know how to move forward.
Okay.
That's
I can
all.
answer it now.
Would you like to answer it now, Commissioner Chavez?
I guess we probably need it before Thursday if we can legally vote to move it to Thursday for her appointment, but then Thursday before we vote, I think the board needs an answer on not just the one that's on the agenda, but any other parish appointment that we have serving on the MPC.
I can answer it now.
Okay.
Commissioner, basically, we don't have a dog in that hunt anymore because the parish, the jurisdiction of the parish was removed by the legislature, and the statute now specifically says that MPC appointments should reside in the municipality. It is ultimately going to be up to the current MPC and city council as to whether they will adopt that, request any kind of modification or anything of that nature. If someone who is currently on the MPC board wants to serve on the parish board, I think it would be a good idea for them to resign or be appointed contingent upon their resignation from the other board, even though the city may ultimately determine that's not necessary.
Would they need to resign if their appointment is now not legal since they don't live in the city?
Well, see, this is the thing. Only the city attorney or a judge can decide if their appointment is no longer legal based on the statute.
Okay, so nothing's automatic in the prerequisite of their appointment. It's up to them to decide unless a judge or the city attorney rules?
I mean, basically, the statute says that members of their board should be residents of the city. That's what it says in black and white. Now, as we all know, things get interpreted. You may have some parish appointment that was appointed by the parish that lives in a city. How is that interpreted? That's going to be up to the city attorney or to a judge. Someone who lives outside of the city limits, it seems rather cut and dried, but if they for some reason wanted to keep that person, you don't know what interpretation that they're going to get. So my advice would be if that person wants to serve on the parish board, they should resign from the other board.
Thank you for the answer, Attorney Fraser. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Commissioner Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. President. On the lines of what we just got you talking about with Commissioner Chavez, what do we have in place right now?
In place
as far
for,
as ordinances for property?
Right now, all of our ordinances are still on the books.
The old ones.
All the old ones.
All right, so all the UDC stuff is dead and gone.
No, the only thing that has changed is that there is no Shreveport Metropolitan Planning Commission of Caddo Parish. All
Okay.
the jurisdiction outside of the city limits of Shreveport now falls to whatever board the commission appoints.
Okay, so by the action that was taken, not only is the 5-mile area included in our responsibility, but also the whole parish boundaries.
I believe that has been our opinion. I believe we're asking the Attorney General to clarify that, or I think I've been asked when that opinion was going to be ready. Representative McCormick has asked for an opinion that includes a bunch of questions, of which I believe that's one, but we just got a copy of those questions last Friday. So that's probably coming down the pipe.
I just want to make sure that the citizens know what's in place right now and that it's not, we not went back to Dodge City and you can just slap something wherever you want to put it. Like trailers, empty lot, and just think that it's fine to do that.
No, all of the laws that you all have passed, local laws, are still on Caddo Parish books. They are still enforced and effect and should be enforced.
All right, the most serious question in all this is, who is going to enforce these laws?
The parish, and I'll defer to Dr. Wilson.
Yes, sir. Commissioner Johnson, we did enter into a CEA with the current Metropolitan Planning Board to work the enforcement mechanism for us, because they were well equipped and they know what the rules are. So we don't have the personnel to go out and do all this work that's required to do right now to keep it ongoing, since it's already on your books. So I think last year sometime, when my recommendation to the board is that we would seek that avenue until the board determined what it wanted to do long term. So we have to be able to address the needs that come up. If a citizen call and make a complaint right now, we have to be able to address the complaint since the law is still in the books.
I just want the citizens to know that.
Yes, sir.
Because all of this started because of enforcement.
Yes, sir.
Not because it's on the books.
Yes, sir.
But because of enforcement.
Yes, sir.
So we still have that same right of enforcement, because in the past, you had constables that would go out, they would give a citation, that would go to the justice of the peace.
Right.
Well, half of the justice of the peace and the people in the rural area are buddies. So therefore, most of that stuff never got cited and they never had to pay a fine. They threw it out. And so there was no enforcement. There was no teeth to it. Now that there is some teeth to it, now people still understand that those laws are still on the books and it still can be enforced. That's what I want the public to understand and to know.
Right, I understand.
Not just because we're not part of the Shreveport MPC anymore, it's because we still have those laws on the books and it's still enforceable now. So if that just cause the chamber to be full of people next time we meet, so be it. But at the same time, I want people to know that we haven't laxed on what we're supposed to be doing as a body.
That's correct, sir.
Thank you.
And I think that was my point last time we met. I had prepared a statement on that topic, that all your laws on the books still have to be enforced.
Okay.
And our enforcement mechanism right now is to utilize the NPC staff for enforcement of your laws that we have on the books.
Okay. My next subject is cooperative endeavor agreements for the ARPs, the NGOs, and the economic development applications. Where do we stand on those?
Okay.
We are working on those. We are doing new ones first. The other ones have not reported, or their reports are not due until January 31st, and they don't get new agreements until their old ones are cleared. As far as the ARP, we are soliciting some additional information, but I'm not sure when that is set to go out.
Okay. Because I'm getting calls about what steps are we on as far as ARPs and NGOs. I'm getting calls, so I'm just basically saying now that it's time for the corporate endeavor agreements to start rolling out.
Yes, the NGO's old process has not changed at all. They've always had to wait. If they're someone who has a current agreement or has had an agreement in the past, they always have to wait until that is cleared by finance and legal before they are able to receive, before we'll prepare and send a new agreement. So the only agreements we're working on are new recipient agreements.
Okay, but I just know that this year you'll have more because of the ARPs.
That's
We
correct.
will have more.
Yes, sir, a lot.
So do we have some additional help to help y'all get those out?
Hadn't been determined that we need that right now, but we'll let you know if we do.
Okay. And I'll wait for the administrative report for my third topic.
Done?
Okay.
I'm done.
Okay, thank you. Commission Vice President Burrell.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm trying to get a clarification here between your Metropolitan Planning Commission board members and the so-called Rural Planning Commission board that I assume that we are establishing. The Rural Planning Commission board would only comprise of people outside the city limits. I use the city limits and not the five, so it won't get confused with the 5 mile barrier that we're talking about. Is that correct?
That is correct.
That's my understanding, sir.
Who is supposed to confirm those members? Will the commission, parish commission be involved in that?
Yes, sir.
The parish commission will appoint the board.
So with that being said, then, I'm assuming that, have to assume, being an urban Caddo commissioner that is not necessarily associated with the persons outside, then I would not have any jurisdiction here then.
When you say you would, as far as the appointments,
As far as the appointment, or either far, as far as the appointment.
Commissioner, I will have to actually go back and look at that ordinance, because in creating the commission, you all had decided upon a process for those appointments. I believe that persons were to be nominated from outside of the area, but you all would have a vote in it.
That's right.
And so I think it's a little bit more hybrid than what you just stated.
Well, send me something on that hibernation. Because I feel excluded. I remember when we discussed it, I mentioned it then as an urban commissioner, and which has no jurisdiction in terms of really, in my opinion, to actually vote on a member that I don't even have the right to recommend, although I am a commissioner, because all of those appointments have to be outside the city limits. So to me, it takes my rights away, from my perspective, unless you can explain it some other way. I'm very open to hear it.
Commissioner, all I can tell you is that it was passed by a minimum vote of 7 of you all. So I will send you what the body passed.
Do that. We may have to redress that some other way. Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Burrell. Commissioner Hopkins.
Ms. Frazier, I'm going to ask you a question because a lot of people that watch this get confused when we talk about the parish and the 5 miles. Our ordinances are currently only, and the maps drawn, are only for that up to 5 mile area. There are no ordinances north of Highway 173.
That is correct.
And then I'm not sure where they are on the south end, but that's one of the things that people get real confused when we're talking about the parish as a whole. We're talking about that one little area where there's still currently an ordinance.
Correct.
And there's currently still maps. But from where I live, there is nothing. There never has been anything in any further north unless you live inside a municipality. So I think some people get a little confused about, well, we're gonna be doing the whole parish. What we'll still be doing is just that 5-mile area.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Commissioner, or pardon me, Attorney Frazier, are you back on the board with something?
No, that was
Okay.
from earlier. Thank you.
Commissioner Epperson.
Ms. Frazier and Dr. Wilson,
Yes, sir.
what we are just discussing now, would you please decipher that into an articulate form? Publish it in all of the print media in bold print as an advertisement. Then that way we can all eat off of the same plate. We have the same structured piece of information that we can articulate to the citizens or they can articulate it to themselves. Do you think that would be asking too much?
Yes, sir.
If that's possible? You know, like a public service notice. Because what I hear is
You can do that.
everybody's confused to hell.
I know I am.
But put it in writing, plain, what you just told us here. And please publicize it in all the print media. That's all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner Epperson. Commissioner Jackson.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. I guess I'll keep the zoning train going. I'll concur with Commissioner Burrell that I feel left out as a urban commissioner. You know, I got, Mr. Clark, I got your notice about the neighborhood participation meeting. Somebody called me about some information, and I just told him I apologized to him and told him I didn't even feel comfortable. It creates an interesting situation where you have a lot of us who participate from. It's like some folks are saying that the city of Shreveport is not in the parish of Caddo. And when we go to constituent doors, when we're knocking on folks' doors, or when we see each other at the grocery store, at the church, nobody takes the time to make that distinction of who does what and all that. All they know is you come knock on their door, ask for their support, they push a button for you. And so citizens do not care about that aspect of it. And so it just feels odd where we are right now, where I had to reach out to you today about a situation in my district about variance or zoning or whatever it would have been. It just feels very odd. So that's why at least we have the agreement in place, which I know was, some people were questioning why do we have the agreement in place. There still seems to be some administrative needs. And when I think back to that, that's what gives me a little reassurance on it. I guess this question is for Attorney Frazier. I know the House bill passed that basically undid the state statute for the MPC, is that correct?
Correct.
But because we are a home rule charter parish, we have the authority to do planning and zoning however we choose to. Would that be correct or not correct?
Well, Commissioner, that is one of the questions you have asked us to
Attorney-
submit to the Attorney General, so they will tell us in about 4 to 6 weeks.
If we can set it up however we want to as a home rule charter.
Right.
Okay. And you said you got some questions that Mr. McCormick,
He's requested an opinion also.
do you mind sharing that with us? Do you?
No,
Okay.
I don't.
Yeah, if you don't mind sharing that with us, 'cause I'd love to see, or if they've shared his ask or request, if you could share that with us, 'cause I'd love to see where that's going. And are y'all gonna send us a copy of y'all's response to him?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, basically our request is going to incorporate information on those questions so that they can all be taken up by the Attorney General at one time.
Okay, all right, but yeah, I just think that as a home rule charter, we should be vested with the authority to pick and choose how planning and zoning should look for the citizens of Caddo Parish, even if whether that should include or not include the city of Shreveport. But, I mean, my understanding was all this was done in an effort to decouple. They didn't, the issue was we didn't want city commissioners or city whatever weighing in on zoning, but at the end of the day, we're gonna be doing that. So it just seems like an oxymoron to me. The other thing, I guess this is a question to the clerk and to legal. We should have a no solicitation policy, and I know I've been asking for that for a little while. But I thought we had some type of no solicitation. Thank y'all for the authorized prayer. I see the signs up in the basement now. But I thought we had a no solicitation or something, because we discussed this. If the Brotherhood, if the Islamic Brotherhood came down here passing out the final call, you know, folks would be upset. And we're on government's time right now. And we shouldn't have folks down here pushing their agenda on the government's time. So, and all that stuff does, Travis and Patrick, make sure y'all pick that paper up. Because all I look back there and see is it laid on the floor as trash when we leave. And them housekeepers have to come down here, and environmental services, not housekeepers, right. Environmental service staff have to come down here and pick that junk up. So, and if we're gonna have solicitation, let me know, because I know a lady who sells the best tea cakes in Caddo Parish who want to come down here and set up and promote her business. So please, let's do that. Or if y'all could let me know about that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Jackson. Commissioner Vice President Burrell.
Mr. Chairman, I wouldn't go back on the board, except I was just explained this situation, which really pisses me off even more so. I understand that the Metropolitan Planning Commission Board, I cannot appoint a person now under the new rules as an urban commissioner, because it is exclusively basically for the city council. And on the Rural Planning Commission Board, I can appoint someone for the board, but they can't live inside my district because I'm in the urban center. I have to know somebody in the rural. I don't represent the rural, I represent the urban center. So that's the reason I made the point that it takes my jurisdiction away. It does not, it takes my rights away as a commissioner to even have input on this rural commission board, because if I'm gonna appoint someone, I would assume that I would appoint someone from my commission district. But under the present law, then I cannot do that. I have to know somebody outside my district whom I don't really know to appoint to be a part of this. So so I don't know about the other urban commissioners, but I really have a problem with that. You said, and Ms. Frazier, you said that 7 members came up with this and passed it. I don't know, I might have been one of those 7 members, because I didn't understand during that time with all this confusion what we were actually doing. But this is a mess, a hell of a mess.
Well, the Parish Planning Commission was created by ordinance, and it takes 7 of you all to pass an ordinance. I don't know the exact vote when you did it, back, I believe, last spring. But you all passed an ordinance to create it, and you all approved the way it was set up. So.
Well, all I can say is it was confusing then, it's confusing now, and now that it appears to be explained, then I recognize that we're just out of the, the urban commissioner is just pretty much out of it, other than voting on someone that we don't even know. I mean, that's where we are. We'll take this up at another time, but I just want you to know that this is really disturbing. Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay, Commissioner Epperson.
Yes, I just want to draw your attention to the board on the statement that Dr. Wilson had sent out to us. And if you notice, it is missing the element, I think, where Commissioner Hopkins was. You see what I'm talking about? Is there anything in there about the 5 mile, Mr. Hopkins? You see anything? Did you all receive that?
I don't recall seeing that.
Okay.
Is this a recent?
That was passed out at the last commission meeting.
Ask Ken Ward for it if you need it. Pardon?
See, the date should be on it, but anyway,
Yeah,
you see what I'm talking about,
Yes, sir.
Dr. Wilson
We'll
and
put out
Attorney
additional-
Frazier, about making sure we articulate a statement
Yes, sir.
without any room for misunderstanding,
Yes, sir.
legal as to what it is. Put it in the print media, put it on the website, and we'll all have the same recipe that we can use, and our cakes all come out the same.
Okay. We'll go back and add the additional the comments with the 5-mile radius.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Epperson. Commissioner Hopkins?
Yes, I just wanted to point out, Commissioner Burrell, just wanted to point out, I have 9 communities that I have no say in their zoning either, so, I mean, I understand what you're saying. I have no say in the zoning of Wall City, Vivian, Blanchard, so, I mean, it kind of goes both ways.
But you do have areas outside of
Let's
there
not
which you,
be-
in which you
Correct.
do make appointments.
So, yeah, right,
Okay, I don't.
good.
Okay.
That's different.
All right, Commissioner, you done, Commissioner Hopkins? I'm just trying to control the floor here.
Oh,
Okay.
look, I can control that. I'm just
Are you
saying
done,
that
are you
what
done,
he's saying.
Commissioner Hopkins?
I'm done. yeah.
Okay. that's
Mr.
fine.
President, what
That's
he's
fine.
saying,
Commissioner Burrell?
what he's saying and what I'm saying are two different things, is what
Okay.
I'm saying.
All right, Commission Clerk.
Yeah, I just wanted to just speak up as there was some discussion about the passage of Ordinance 6071. That is the ordinance that created the Rural Planning Commission. And just for the reference point, that was adopted during your June 3rd, 2021 meeting. And it was adopted with a vote of 11 in support, 1 absent. If anybody would like to quickly reference that, it is linked on the agenda that you can find from the Caddo website fairly quickly, and it does have a couple of attachments that might be good refreshers. Just
Would you just, Mr. Clerk, would you just send that to all commissioners?
I can send a link
make-
to it to everybody,
Okay.
and that way you'll have it handy.
All right, thank you. All right. Are we ready for administrator's report?
Yes, sir, we ready?
Okay, go ahead, sir.
Okay, good afternoon, Commissioners, Commissioner Atkins. The Commissioners, we have a couple of things today. The Treasury report for the Emergency Rental Assistance Program. Basically, we're still waiting on money from the Treasury. It's our understanding that the state has already gave the Treasury money back, and we wait for them to redistribute back to us so we can continue with our programs. So that once applications that we currently have in the queue, the only thing lacking there is having the money, and we anticipate getting about $5.2 million, and we'll take that as far as it will go. In juvenile detention, we have 22 children in the detention center. We have 4 waiting in OJJ custody and 8 at the Caddo Correction Center. Also, the infection rates for the COVID. We have month to date 37 positive infections and 5 exposures, and we have just this last week we had 4. Also, our reporting agencies. We've heard from the Sheriff Department. They had 1 last week, and the District Attorney had 2. Currently running about 27 from the 13 funded agencies that we deal with that occupy parish buildings. Also, I'll be reading a plaque. We received a plaque from the Sports Commission. I'll be bringing that before you all on Thursday and reading it to you. It's for an economic development project that we are a part of, so I'll wait until Thursday to read it to you, sir. Also, you had your financial report for the month of December at your stations, and I believe that's it. Just one other comment about. I know there'd be this little slight confusion with the planning and zoning, but we do have property standards parish-wide. Property standards issues are parish-wide.
And they are 2 different things.
Right, they're 2 different things. Zoning, planning is different, but property standards is parish-wide. That concludes my report, sir.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Wilson. I think Commissioner Johnson has a question for you.
I got a couple questions.
Okay.
Okay. First one is, have we applied for any NACO Achievement Awards?
We will be, sir. I think submittal is April, and Ms. Bryant has already discussed this. We will be putting in a few submittals for that as well.
Okay. On the news, I've been seeing where I guess it's a couple kids, or one kid for sure, has been escaping, juvenile, been escaping everybody, and there's been a lot of escape at OJJ. Do we have any kids down there, or?
I'm not sure, but Cleo's here. He can answer those questions for you, sir.
Mr. Walker?
We won't have no escapes from our facility, but OJJ.
That's wonderful.
If we're talking about the same thing, I think I saw that too. St. Martinville facility.
Yes.
2 children escaped from there. That's OJJ. We have not had an escape from our facility.
Okay.
Those are not our children. Those are not Caddo kids. Those are from other parishes.
Okay. So we don't have no kids in that area?
No, no. Our
Okay.
kids go to Swanson over in Monroe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. And then my last question is, where are we on the Confederate monument? We signed the contracts? Is the ink dry?
No, we're working to get that done as expeditiously as possible.
I mean, what's the holdup?
I'm sorry,
What's the holdup?
me being out sick at the beginning of the month.
Okay, so are we on overdrive to get this signed and ink dried?
Yes,
so we
sir,
can
I'm
get
dancing
going?
as fast as I can.
I mean,
Yeah, Commissioner Johnson, we've already issued a letter to proceed to the contractor.
okay.
So as soon as we get the contract signed, the work will begin.
Okay.
Yes.
Is there something special about the contract? Yes. Because we finna go into February, and that's 31 days in January, so I'm just trying to figure out what's going on.
There's not anything special about it, but when you've got 50 other non-special contracts and things you're working on, and you're playing catch up from behind, you just kind of get bogged
Well, it
down a
sounds
little
like
bit.
we need some additional resources.
So,
Yeah. Yes, sir. And Commissioner Johnson, I've already spoke to Attorney Frazier about the need for additional manpower. And I told her if she needs additional manpower, we'd be glad to accommodate that, because, you know, with the growing, the NGO list and the ARP is, and other things that we've been doing, picking up new programs, it's been adding to our workload. So we had to start at some point adding additional resources to cover it.
Right, and then we have these lengthy agendas, so
Yes, sir.
therefore, I'm saying we need to get additional resources.
Yes, sir.
And I guarantee that most of the people on this hush will second that, so that we can get the stuff out and get
Yes,
it
sir.
past us.
Yeah, Attorney Frazier has my full support in adding additional manpower if we need it, sir. So I'm kind of just following her lead on that one.
Okay, because I would like to see the ink dry on the contract and the guys cutting the statute down as soon as possible, like in February.
Yes, sir. It's going to take several months to get that done.
I say it's more like the spring, even with the contract signed because of the weather. It won't be February. So
I can't hear
don't
you,
want
Ms.
you to
Bryant.
think, it probably will not be February, even with the contract signed. The contractors would prefer to work in a warmer climate, so you're looking at the spring or the summer. So didn't want you to think once that contract signed, immediately work will start. Because of the nature of the materials on that particular monument, the temperature has to be a certain temperature, so it probably will not be February.
All right, so can we get to the point where they're not waiting on us, we're waiting on them?
Sure. That's our goal.
Just
Yes,
wanted
sir.
realistic expectations of when they'll start. That's
I'm talking about the first time that it gets warm, and it's gonna be warm, they waiting, we're waiting on them, and they're not waiting on us.
That's correct. That's the preferred goal. Yes.
All right, then my last piece, did we ever get those winter equipment for the,
Yes, sir. We got some of it.
okay. Because I noticed that Bossier Parish publicized theirs, and the idea came from this meeting, I'm quite sure, that they had their little front-end loaders on pickup trucks and everything showing that they was ready. So I just want to make sure that we're ready, because we brought it to everybody's attention.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to see that. I would like to see some pictures of the equipment.
Okay.
Thank you. That's all I have, Mr. President.
Thank you. Commissioner Epperson, you have a question for the administrator?
This will be made between the commission staff as well as the administration. Would you please submit the resolution relative to the stamp in honor of Colonel Stephen DePeisler to NACO, the Veterans and Military Service Committee, and also the resolution relative to the abatement of federal taxes for for veterans paying federal taxes on their Social Security. Those two resolutions have passed already.
Okay.
Am I correct? Right.
Yeah. So you want us to submit it to NACO?
Yes,
Commissioner? Okay.
Right. See, the steering committees too, so we'll put that on our agenda. That's how we got the Veteran Cemetery.
Yes, sir.
They were
Right.
part of advocating, helping us lobby Congress relative to getting the cemeteries. That led to 5 cemeteries in the state of Louisiana, veteran cemeteries. So if you would, please send the resolution relative to Colonel DePeisler's stamp and the abatement of federal taxes being paid to veterans on their Social Security benefits to NACO. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Stormy Gage Watts.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Wilson,
Yes, ma'am.
those citizens who have been approved for the Emergency Rental Assistance Program and already received a letter, if they are incurring any type of late fees, who should they contact for assistance?
Okay. One second.
There's a cap on how much late fees that the parish ERAP program will pay, so that question would be based on each participant.
Okay,
If they have late fees outside and above what our program will pay, that it would be up to them to find the source.
so it'll be per individual case.
Right, but I preface that I would like to say that we're waiting on the $5.2 million, but that $5.2 million has already been allocated to people. So even if they didn't receive late fee payments in the past, we no longer have funds to pay anything additional.
So the best thing for them to do is to call the 226-6598.
That's not gonna help them either, because then they're gonna call me. I mean, we have no more funds to allocate to rent, utilities, late fees. We have no more.
Only
Even when we
those.
get this 5.2, it has already been appropriated to individuals that are already in the system.
Right, and that's who I'm referring to, those
Right,
citizens.
so I realize that some of those rents for February are not gonna be there probably in time for the 5th day, and so they're gonna assess late fees, but our program does not have funds to pay any late fees.
Okay, only the appropriated amount that's already been authorized for those citizens. So if they do incur any fees beyond that, they'll be responsible for paying them. Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
thank you.
You're welcome.
That's it, Mr. President.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Jackson.
Yes. So, did we get any ERAP $2 from the state?
Not yet.
No,
What's
the
that?
state hasn't allocated any ERAP $2 to any any organization.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Commissioner Jackson.
And is that part of what they paid back?
No, they only pay back ERAP $1.
Yeah.
I have put in a reallocation request through Treasury for ERAP $2. I put it in back early January, but I was told I probably wouldn't hear anything about that reallocation until June.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that's for direct appropriation.
Right,
Yeah.
the state won't be doing, from what I understand, there's no more reallocations from the state. They'll all have to come directly from Treasury, so Treasury's requesting them to refund, and then they will allocate.
ERAP 1.
And 2.
Oh, okay. All right.
All ERAP, that's the last song I got, if you will.
Gotcha.
They change their tunes sometimes, but that was the last
Gotcha.
information I received.
Okay.
Hey, Commissioner Jackson, I think the delay is, what we're being told is that nationally, they want to spend all the ERAP 1 money first before they even start with ERAP 2.
Right, but I mean, the state had close to 100 million in ERAP 2 that's just been sitting out there, and
I wonder why.
and that number may be off. I thought it was about 100 million that they're just sitting there.
Yeah, I wonder why they want to send it any money. We can get it out the door if we get the money.
Okay, but we have not received ERAP 2, any ERAP 2 dollars, is what you're saying.
Right, so
Okay.
the difference between ERAP 1 and ERAP 2 was ERAP 1, the state received from the get-go an allocated portion that was for Caddo Parish only. On ERAP $2, the state did not receive that same allocation that was earmarked just for Caddo. We received our appropriation directly and spent it in June and July. And we haven't received that other, I think it's 55% that the Fed did allocate for us. I've requested it, but I'm told that I can't even expect it, even if I get it, until June.
Okay. And that's another one where we have to make that distinction between ERAP 1 and ERAP 2, so that's why I was asking. Appreciate it, thank you. To the monument, we have established that the monument is not ours, or we don't want to get into that here? I mean, if we don't just,
Commissioner, we've never claimed it. We've been
Okay.
publicly told y'all don't wanna claim it.
okay.
And
No,
so,
I got you.
as far as we know, we've never attempted to make a claim to it.
But the
That
land,
doesn't address whether or not we could have validly claimed it.
right, but we have agreed that the land that it sits on is ours.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
And so essentially, we're going through, would y'all say we're going through an eviction process here?
Yes, probably. I would say, for lack of a better word,
You might want
yes.
to let the attorney Frazier answer.
Okay.
Would you agree that this is kind of like an eviction process? Or is this an agreement to sever, to depart, like a month-to-month kind of thing? Case by?
Commissioner, I view these as totally different simply because we had a lawsuit behind it,
Okay.
and what we're doing now is done pursuant to a settlement agreement, which is not the same as what happens when you go to eviction court.
Okay. But it's their property on our land,
Mhm.
and we agreeing to pay to have it relocated, right?
Mhm.
Okay. So I'm just trying to figure out so are we, I guess my question, the plain way to ask it is, are we gonna ask them to reimburse us for the cost that we're incurring?
That's not what we agreed to.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Okay, Mr. Clerk, I think that's it for administration.
Okay, did you have a president's report today?
No, we can carry on.
Okay, we have no old business scheduled today, so that brings us to new business, where we have a number of items. The first item being 9.1 to authorize introduction of ordinance number 6190 of 2022. That's an ordinance to amend ordinance 67-1 of 2021 relative to the Caddo Parish Planning Commission to provide the effective dates of the Caddo Parish Planning Commission and to otherwise provide with respect thereto from Commissioner Chavez.
So moved to Thursday?
Second.
Motion from Commissioner Chavez to forward with a second from Commissioner Young. Commissioner Chavez, would you like to speak on this?
Thank you, Chairman. Commissioners, I sent everybody an email on this. We're stuck in a conundrum of what we have to do in order to get the parish zoning board set up. We are faced with people that don't want the appointed board, people that want an elected board. Simultaneously, we're faced with citizens that need zoning answers, and right now, all their zoning applications have been pushed back and cannot legally be heard by the MPC. So I think in the interim of while we wait for the Attorney General's opinion, this is a good compromise to at least get the board set up, create a sunset so that the citizens that do not want this appointed board know that there is an end to it, get the citizens that need the help that they need, and then while we get the answer from the AG and our attorneys and we work out a solution for everybody that everybody can agree on, this will get us down the road to take care of the needed citizens that we need to take care of right now. So I would ask your support for this, and at least we could come together and get the citizens helped. Thank you, Chairman.
Yes, sir. Commissioner Vice President Burrell.
Mr. Chairman, if we don't vote for this, will District 5 and District 6 have any jurisdiction in making boards appointments? Because as of right now, those two districts has no authority to make any appointments because we cannot appoint anybody from our district. And we don't, well, I don't know about District 6, but I don't think that I was elected to recommend somebody outside the district. There may be people that I may know in the rural, or should I say outside the city limits. But that's not why they elected me. They elected me to have the authority to, at least the authority, to make a board recommendation. And this is not what this does. I just finished asking you, what planning commission is this? Is this part of the Metropolitan Planning Commission? I don't think so. Is it part of the Rural Planning Commission? I'm not sure. So I'm in a conundrum too on this situation.
All right.
So I won't be voting for it.
All
Let's
right,
just put it
Commissioner
that
Vice
way.
President, Commissioner Epperson.
Yes, I'd like to make a substitute motion. I move that the Caddo Parish Planning Commission shall cease to exist effective 30 days after a legal replacement authority has been lawfully established by the Caddo Parish Commission. If I could get a second.
Second.
Starting out from the outset today, I think Mr. Chavez's question shone light on the confusion that we have. Mr. Berea had some issues. The statement that the administration put out was not all intact. Mr. Hopkins added to it. So I don't think we need to put no kind of definitive date onto this, because this is going to be a work in progress. Now, it's not either of our fault, well, not my fault, that somebody got a burr in their saddle and got somebody to go down to Baton Rouge and lobby and put a law in place. As my third grade teacher would say, hey, put your brain in gear before you shift your mouth, or you put action in gear. This is a process that has been in place for a substantial, I know the 24 years that I've been here, this process has been in place. So it's not going to be solved overnight. So for people to get all upset and think that you can just flip it on and off like a light switch, impossible. There are a number of questions that's got to be answered. So I would think this is the logical solution. Let's advance it to 30 days after everything is in place. Then we will sunset the commission, the planning commission, as we see it now. Thank you.
Okay, so we have a substitute motion, Commissioner Epperson, to put the new body in place after 30 days after all issues have been resolved.
All issues have been resolved, and a legal replacement authority has been put in place by this body. And that means addressing all situations such as Mr. Berea and anyone else.
All right, do we have any discussion on the substitute motion? I'm not sure who's, Commissioner Hopkins, is that on the substitute motion?
Yes.
Okay, go
Because
ahead.
I'm not sure I followed all the way, because who's going to determine it? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Who's going to determine what, are we going off the Attorney General's opinion? Or what are we going to, I don't understand that part of it.
Well, you just asked the question, Mr. Hopkins. You're still asking questions. We're waiting on the Attorney General's opinion. I think Mr. McCormick threw something down with the Attorney General. We have people that's confused up here as to the makeup of the board. There are still a number of legal things that we have to have in place. So the common sense approach would be, let's weigh all of these situations out, get everything in place, and then 30 days after that is out, then the existing commission that we have in place will no longer cease, and the new one that this body agreed to and voted to replace it will become effective. Now, how that happened, I don't know. That's why we're here now.
Okay. I think that answers my question.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Hopkins. Commissioner Chavez.
Thank you, Chairman. Just to be clear, my original motion to advance this to Thursday was 6190 is to clean up Ordinance 6071. Chairman, we passed this about 9 months ago. This was to create a 5-person rural board made up only of citizens within the rural part of the parish. And those people, any of the 12 of us could appoint one of those people. Doesn't matter what district we are. You can appoint somebody, and then collectively between the 12 of us, we will condense those applications down to 5. We're in the situation right now where we're being told by our legal that we must have an appointed board to bring forth zoning, so then they can either vote it up or down, and if the citizen that comes and asks for that vote, if they disagree, then it comes to us. So right now, we have a lot of people that have already submitted applications to the Metropolitan Planning Commission that now work solely for the city of Shreveport. So I don't want those citizens to wait any longer. If we put forth this substitute motion, what we're sitting with is citizens that want to start businesses, build neighborhoods, that are literally sitting in limbo because of our lack of making a decision. So I think it would be very advantageous to those citizens who we represent that we make the decision to merely add this amendment that I'm introducing to the ordinance that we already passed last year, that we create that 5-man board, appoint those 5 people to that board, let them start hearing those cases the citizens have applied for, let those businesses open, let those neighborhoods get built, let those zonings take place. And then the reason for this sunset is if indeed we get that Attorney General's opinion, or we go to court and it gets back and forth and it's deemed that we don't need it, well, we already have something to disband it. But at least for now, we can do what the citizens need to do. And that's what I think our job is. We can't just sit here and kick the can down the road saying, let's wait 30 days till after we hear a decision. Well, what do we tell that business owner or that person that needs to build their house? What do we tell them? We need to act for them as much as we need to represent the other people in North Caddo that are telling us that they want different zoning or unappointed boards. We have to work for everybody. This is the one decision that'll achieve everything today. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Commissioner Vice President Burrell, have you spoken on this topic yet?
And I want to speak again.
If you want to speak again, I think I need to give it,
Well,
you
Mr.
haven't spoken
Chavez
on the
already.
substitute
No,
motion.
I have not.
Okay,
Point
go
of order,
ahead.
Mr. President.
I
Commissioner
have not
Chavez
spoken
is
on
on twice already, so we already broke that.
Okay.
Point of clarification, I spoke on my motion and then I got back on the board
Right, I
to
think he's
speak.
about to speak on,
You're speaking on the substitute
right.
motion. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's my understanding 10 of the 12 districts that we have, commission districts, that we have can appoint a person because they have a portion of their district in the rural. That's the cursory thing that I've just developed. There's only 2 of us that cannot. So how are you going to resolve our issue? I don't see that unless you go back to, what is that, 6171? And address it and make at least one an urban appointment? Because if not, you're taking away our authority and our right as urban commissioners to even participate. We may as well not even be here. We can't do it. We can't appoint anybody at the MPC. And really, we shouldn't appoint anybody on this rural commission because they cannot come from our district. We have no jurisdiction there. So I'm not sure how we're going to resolve that, whether it's today or tomorrow, unless we go back and address it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Burrell. Commissioner Jackson.
I call for a question
Second.
All right, so we have a call for the question on
on
the
all the
substitute.
motions on the table.
Okay.
You still got people on the board that hadn't spoken.
That-
Neither the motion or the substitute motion.
That doesn't matter, I don't think. All right, we have a call for the question.
On all of the motion.
Okay. Mr. Clerk, vote on the calling for the question.
Okay. And that motion does carry. 8 is what's required to carry a call for the question. So that would bring us to the question on the floor, which is the substitute motion that was made by Commissioner Epperson. And just as a point of clarity, that motion, I believe, was made. Certainly, I understand that the intent of the motion is to.
You want me to read it over again, Mr. Clerk?
Yes, but could you clarify in the beginning? Keep in mind, of course, that since this being a work session, this would have to be advanced to the Thursday, and
I
so that's all I'm
understand
looking for is to
that's
add
the
that
purpose of
language.
it. I move that the Caddo Parish Planning Commission shall cease to exist effective 30 days after a legal replacement authority has been lawfully established by the Caddo Parish Commission.
So being that we're in work session today, this would be to advance that
Right,
to
right. Everything we
to
do
Thursday.
has to be advanced till, to Thursday.
Okay, so that's the motion before That's y'all the right motion now. on the table.
Mr. Chairman, point of
I don't think,
clarification.
we don't have any additional
Point of
discussion.
clarification.
We don't, is there a point of clarification allowed during a vote on a substitute motion after a call for the question? I don't think so.
Let's cease
Sorry.
all
All
debate.
right, no more discussion. Let's call for the vote.
We can already call for the question. Now we're.
So we're voting on Commissioner Epperson's substitute motion. Okay, and that motion does not carry. There are 5 in support, 7 in opposition. So we would move to the preceding motion before that, which was the motion to authorize the introduction of ordinance number 6190 of 2022. No discussion at this point.
I
call for it on all.
question on the.
I call for it on all of
You
them.
vote on all motions, they're all, okay. Another vote, this is the vote on the item that's on the agenda that Commissioner Chavez submitted to the agenda.
I had 750,
And that fails with 6-6.
Next item.
Oh, I'm sorry. To,
6-6.
You still
Yeah,
need a majority.
that's correct.
Next item.
So that brings us to the next item, which is authorizing introduction of ordinance number 6191 of 2022. That's an ordinance amending the budget of estimated revenues and expenditures for the Riverboat Fund and Oil and Gas Fund in the amount of $10,000 to provide an appropriation for the Louisiana Advocates for Immigrants in Detention. Move to advance.
Second.
We have a motion from Commissioner Young and a second from, I think, Commissioner Burrell. Commissioner Young, would you like to speak on your motion? Yes, Mr. President, thank you. The advocate volunteer for this program spoke to us briefly before. We weren't able to ask her questions. They've provided a pretty detailed budget of their expenses. This is a, I've communicated with most of you about this. This is a project that's going on by chance in my district. It's been funded by primarily volunteer efforts and donations from private citizens to fill in a gap where federal contractors who have released detained asylum seekers into our community. They help them find their way to their next location, which is not always provided for adequately by the parties who are detaining these asylum seekers. And without their work, we would certainly have a much less humane treatment of these people passing through our community. And they've outlaid a significant amount of expense in advance for this, and I wanted to suggest to
to the body that the public sponsor this activity to help ensure that it can continue. I know that both the young ladies are still here to answer questions if anybody has them, and this is what their budget looks like. So,
Is that our location?
yes. So
Okay.
this is the budget of money that's been expended already on this project, and other forms of income that they've had to help sponsor it. So I know this hasn't gone through the NGO committee. That would be okay if people want to discuss it in detail there, but since it's money that's already been spent, and since it's an ongoing, relatively urgent need, I thought I would just bring it to the body and see if we would pass it without committee discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Young. Commissioner Jackson? Is that old?
That was old. I don't want to skip out of line.
Pardon me?
That's probably old. I don't want to skip
Okay,
anything
Commissioner
else.
Burrell, is that old or new? Do you have a new comment?
That's new.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm very new today. The only question that I had on this, in which I supported, is that most of the information that I have seen or read is all about the Haitians coming through here. Is there anybody else that come through Shreveport other than Haitians?
You can reply. It's directed to you.
Thank you for your question. I don't have the information to answer that question, but I know that Frances Kelly, who's here, does. May we have her
Okay, Ms.
speak on this
Kelly.
point?
It seems as though they're the only one that we're getting out of the U.S.
We have assisted asylum seekers from 58 countries. So I would say most of them have been from Cuba, and then probably Venezuela, Haiti, and Nicaragua. But a significant number have been from African countries as well. And then there's some countries that we've just had, one or two from that country.
Well, the Haitians are the only one that I've read about, heard about, so I thought maybe that they were all Haitians coming through here. But I'm glad to know that there are other countries that are being dealt with also. That was a question, Mr. President.
Okay,
That's all.
thank you, Ms. Kelly. Thank you, Commissioner Burrell. Thank you, Kelly. Ms. Kelly. Commissioner Johnson.
I'd like to make a substitute motion to advance this, but also send it to NGO.
Second.
Second.
Would you like to speak on your motion?
Got a second?
Yeah, you got a second from, I couldn't tell,
Second.
from
Oh.
Commissioner Hopkins?
I mean, it'll just give us a chance to look over this sheet, and also to ask any additional questions we might have. If there are any other type of aid that we can give them besides public dollars, if there are maybe some other private organizations that would like to help, I mean, that would help in that time frame to get that going in the subcommittee.
Okay, so you made the substitute motion to advance, but also.
Advance, but also have an NGO committee meeting before we vote on this.
Okay. All right, who else is on the board? Commissioner Jackson again? I mean, not.
This is my first time, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm good with the advancing and sending to committee, because I just want to make sure that, everybody follows the same pattern and process. So, I see people jumping and smiling who normally asking for FAQs. And anybody ask y'all for y'all 990? The real question. You gotta come to the microphone. You gotta come to the microphone.
Please come up.
Anybody ever
I'm not-
ask y'all for your 990?
It's on the application. I'm not a director of LA Aid, but the organization was established in October
Let
as
me
a
ask-
formal
Let me be more
IRS
specific.
nonprofit.
Anybody other than the parish ask y'all for your 990?
Don't worry.
It's not a trick question.
There is no 990
Gotcha.
because we were recently established.
I understand. But you.
Has anyone else
So that's a no.
asked? The majority of our funds have come from small donors, so we have not been having a lot of tax exempt donations at this point.
I appreciate, and my question is not necessarily about this project, it's just about how we treat all others. Attorney Frazier, not Dr. Wilson, is this something that we do?
Typically, no, we do a lot. We typically.
Okay, all right. I'm just saying, you know, we shouldn't pick and choose when we want to think outside of that box. I think it's a good idea and look forward to supporting it down the road. But thank you for bringing it forward, Commissioner John Paul. Thank you all for working in this sensitive area. It's been a void there for a while, and I know y'all have kind of gone, the church has gone into its pockets to help support this. So thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Commissioner Jackson. Commissioner Stormy Gage Watts.
Thank you, Mr. President. My question was in reference to this item being time sensitive, but I think Commissioner Johnson addressed that during his statement of saying that it would be in an NGO committee meeting before we voted on this for final adoption, if it passes.
Okay.
Thank you.
That's it, Commissioner Gage Watts?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Telfaro.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ms. Kelly, I was looking at the your income and expenses. I just wanted, it's pretty I guess, is it difficult to place a value on the expenses that you incur per refugee? I mean, you know, I know that you're short, and I know that things, you know, the expenses come up, and and oftentimes there's not enough money to cover those expenses. And I was just curious, as long as you've been doing this in as many countries as, I know everything there's a lot of variables, and I was just curious if there's ever anyone that came up with a metric that says, okay, this is what it costs us, you know, per person coming through our facility.
We have calculated that at various times as part of our sort of grassroots fundraising campaigns. It does depend widely because sometimes the detention centers are actually providing the transportation that they are legally obligated to do, and we're just assisting once they arrive here. And so if the detention center brings a bus of 40 people here and volunteers aren't having to drive their personal cars or the church van, 4 hours round trip, we don't have that gas expense and that mileage expense for those people. All we're doing is, feeding them and getting them to the airport or the bus station, which is a much shorter distance. But we could provide a number for that, I guess, for the entire year at the committee meeting if you would like, a summary for I think it's 1,200 people we've had through Caddo since last February or last March.
Okay, that would be up to the committee chair if they want that additional information. I was just curious.
And we also have a lot of in-kind donations. Volunteers will buy pizza or that they don't ask to be reimbursed for. So a lot is being done just with in-kind donations.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Mr. President.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Epperson.
Administration, this will, with this being in the ordinance now, it has to lay over for 2 weeks and be advertising also.
Correct.
I'm pretty sure they're familiar that whatever happened, come back favorable, they just won't instantly get the money. It's a process. Okay.
Thank you, Commissioner Epperson. All right. So it's time to, any other comments on the motion? Seeing none, seeing none, let's move forward with the vote. Mr. Clerk.
All right, you should be ready. And that motion to advance and refer to the NGO committee passes with 12 in support and none in opposition. And that brings us to the authorization of introduction of ordinance number 6192 of 2022. That's an ordinance amending the budget of estimated revenues and expenditures for the Riverboat Fund and Oil and Gas Fund in the amount of $25,000 to provide an appropriation for the American Millennium Project and otherwise provide with respect thereto.
Move to advance.
We have a motion. Hearing no second, it dies from lack of a second. Next item, Mr. Clerk.
That brings us to authorizing the introduction of ordinance number 6193 of 2022. That's an ordinance creating the I-49 North Corridor Economic Development District, State of Louisiana, defining the boundaries thereof, from which area local sales tax, property tax, and hotel occupancy tax increments will be determined and used to finance economic development projects in accordance with and as authorized by Part 2 of Chapter 27 of Title 33 of the Louisiana Revised Statutes of 1950 as amended, and providing for other matters in connection with the foregoing.
Move to introduce.
Second.
We have a motion from Commissioner Hopkins, a second from Commissioner Jackson. Commissioner Hopkins, would you care to comment?
Yeah, this is to introduce the ordinance for the truck stop at Highway 2 and I-49. It went through economic development back in 2021, and it currently has a deal going with the IDB as far as I forget the name of it, but to move it forward and try to help them with the infrastructure, and that's what this will be. Later on, there's a resolution also to change the boundaries. We had originally introduced the boundaries, but many of the farmers up there were not happy about having their property in that zoning area for the TIF, excuse me. So we've just cut it down to just this one 7.46 acres. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Hopkins. Commissioner Epperson, is that an old one or is that a new one?
That's all.
All right, Commissioner Chavez.
Thank you, President. I think Commissioner Hopkins said this came from economic development. It didn't have any author on there, so can we correct the record to show this was sponsored and came out of economic development?
This change is, yeah, it came from me, but it originally went through economic development.
Okay, that's all. It doesn't have anybody sponsoring this. Thank you, President.
Okay, Commissioner Johnson.
That's what I was gonna see, who sponsored this, because I know the one that we took out of economic development included a bunch of exits.
Right.
And this one is only dealing with that one, so.
Right.
All right, so if the clerk would add.
Will do.
Okay, thank you. That's all I had.
Thank you, Commissioner Johnson. Commissioner Jackson.
Disregard.
Okay. All right, any other, seeing no one else on the board, let's vote, please.
And that motion carries with 12 in support, none in opposition. That brings us to the next item, which is to authorize resolution number 12 of 2022. That's a resolution authorizing the parish administrator to enter into an agreement with the Louisiana Department of Transportation to repave a portion of Louisiana Highway 173 and otherwise providing with respect thereto. You, by the way, do also have a copy of the most recent version of the fact sheet for that. Wanted to make sure that y'all had the version that has the latest updates on that, and you do have that printed out.
Move to advance to Thursday.
Second.
We had a motion to move forward by Commissioner Jackson, a second by Commissioner Hopkins, I believe.
And I think Jones.
Commissioner Jones. Commissioner Jackson, would you like to comment?
No, I'm just taking administration and some others around the horseshoe up on their offer to come to a resolution on this particular item, Highway 173. Dr. Wilson Kenward did call me last week, but I told him I didn't necessarily want to talk to him because my belief is the apology should be where the offense takes place. And so I don't believe in public offenses and private apologies. But I do think that this is a great opportunity, particularly with Amazon coming up, and I think you agreed that we would just put it in our pavement asphalt program. The city is predicting about 15 to 19 months toward completion of that work. I think you were on that email with Chief Whitehorn where he laid out a detailed timeline. I think we're going to get with them on some specifics.
Yes, sir. And we'll get with David North, too.
And David North. And I'm also going to ask that the state do chip in something on this, that this be a city, state, and parish deal, because I see them talking about surplus revenue.
Okay.
And I think that they, we shouldn't be the only ones stepping up to the plate here. They should definitely be stepping up to, because it is their road, and I recognize that. But
Okay.
hopefully this will be a compromise solution to it, and I know Ms. Pearson and the folks in School Park and Mount Canaan will accept it as welcome, and we can go over there and meet with those folks and talk about a timeline, get with Councilwoman Taylor, Chief Whitehorn, to talk about the timeline for it. So
Okay.
thanks for offering this up, and thanks for those around the horseshoe who suggested it. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Jackson. Commissioner Johnson?
I'd like to make a substitute motion to strike out the 5th paragraph.
Yeah, I'll accept that as a friendly amendment.
Okay, we have a motion to strike the 5th paragraph, a substitute motion to,
Well,
or just, do we do
a
it?
friendly amendment to strike
Yeah.
out the 5th paragraph.
Okay, a friendly amendment to strike the 5th paragraph. All right. Any comments on that, Commissioner Johnson? All right, fine. Commissioner?
It's self-explanatory.
Okay. Commissioner, Vice President Burrell?
Yeah, Mr. President, I support this too, but, because this used to be in my legislative district, but does the state do any reimbursement on these costs, or because the state highway, I understood, do they do any type of reimbursement on these costs?
Yes, Commissioner Burrell. Commissioner Jackson stated that we are going to ask the state to be a part of the process.
I understand that, but.
Mhm.
So that's going to be part of that process.
I thought maybe they I mean, they could just donate a portion to the project, or do they actually reimburse the parish for a state road?
We'll work that out to see how we even structure a deal to get that task completed. So we have to have some discussions first before I can answer your question.
I know that they've done it before. I know from the city standpoint, they've done it.
Mhm.
Now, I thought maybe it applied to the parish also. Okay, thank you, Mr. President.
You good?
Definitely
All
plan
right,
to
thank
ask
you,
Commissioner Burrell.
Mr. Vice President. Commissioner Stormy Gage Watts?
Yes, I would like to move to englobo and advance Resolution 12, Resolution 13, Resolution 14, Resolution 15, Resolution 16, Resolution 17, and Resolution 18.
Second.
We have a motion to englobo and advance Resolution 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18, was it?
Yes.
And that's 12 as amended.
12 as amended. And we had, so the motion was made by Stormy Gage Watts. Where was the second? Commissioner Jackson gave the second. Commissioner Gage Watts, would you like to comment?
Yep, just moving along.
Could I make a friendly request that we carve out 17? Because that may have some discussion.
Okay. If that's
Okay.
the pleasure of the body.
All right, so we have a motion with an amended motion with a friendly amendment to englobo and advance all of those items except item resolution number 17, which we can then discuss.
Did you get a second?
Second.
I got a second from Commissioner Hopkins. Okay. All right, so we ready to vote on that with the friendly amendment? All right, Commissioner Clerk.
And again, this is to englobo and advance resolutions number 12 through 16 and 18.
Correct.
And that motion carries with 12 in support. That brings us to the next item on your agenda, which would be authorizing resolution number 17 of 2022. That's an urgent request, the Louisiana Department of Natural Resources to consider the negative impacts of oil and gas drilling in or near urban areas, to implement rules combating those negative impacts, and to otherwise provide with respect thereto.
Move for advancement to Thursday.
Second. Second.
We had a motion from Commissioner Epperson to advance to Thursday and a second from, who was it down there?
Jackson.
Second from Jackson. Thank you, Commissioner Jackson. Commissioner Epperson, would you like to comment on your motion?
No, sir.
Okay. Anyone, Commissioner Chavez, I see you on the board.
Thank you, Chairman. I just had a question if this had gone through the Natural Resource Committee. That's all, Chairman.
Commissioner Epperson?
Yes, it had.
Okay. Anyone else on the board? Commissioner, nope. Commissioner Epperson, you're not on the board, are you? All right, let's see. Seeing no one else on the board, I'll just comment that I think this resolution has made good progress, been cleaned up considerably. I appreciate Commissioner Epperson's work in that regard. I'm personally still not fully comfortable with the recommendation, but I appreciate the progress that's been made in that area. Any other comments before we vote? Seeing none, Commissioner Clerk, let's vote.
And that motion advances with 7 in support and 5 in opposition. That brings us to the next item, which is to authorize a special resolution of remembrance for Maddie McCullough.
Move to advance to Thursday.
Second.
All right, we have a motion from Commissioner Epperson and a second from, it sounds like, Commissioner Jones. Commissioner Epperson, would you like to comment?
No, sir. I'd like to make a comment on Thursday if I'd like.
That'd be fine. Commissioner Gage Watts?
Yes, I would like to be added to this special resolution, please.
All right. I'm sure that.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
I would like to
as
be
an
added.
as a sponsor.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. We also have Commissioner Johnson on the board.
Y'all also like to be added as sponsor.
All right. Commissioner Jackson.
Yes, I'd like to be added as a co-sponsor to this one. And actually, Jeff, you can add me to the resolution 17 as well. That's it for me.
Okay. Commissioner Jones.
Yes, I'd like to be added as a co-sponsor to this resolution and resolution 17.
Got it.
Well, Commissioner Epperson, let me compliment you on the enthusiasm behind your your motion here. Everybody's wanting to join on with you.
Well, Miss Maddie was, I'm gonna tell you, if you really look at the facts, you'll see why.
Commissioner Burrell, Vice President Burrell.
Thank you, Mr. President. Maddie McCullough is my neighbor, and so definitely I went to a funeral Sunday, and definitely I would like to be added if I'm not there already.
Great. Commissioner Gage Watts, you back on the board?
Yes, sir. Quickly, I would like to be added to resolution number 17 as well. Thank you.
Okay, and Commissioner Jackson.
Yeah, and I didn't get a chance to give comments, but Ms. Maddie McCullough was a pillar in our community. I don't know if Commissioner Epperson has spoke to this. She was a pillar, a matriarch in our community. Always had a smile on her face, always feeding young children. She is literally what a lot of people grow up nowadays missing, where, you know, she was opened up to helping everybody. Flynn's bookstore belonged to the McCulloughs, and you know, just a real tried and true classy lady. And like I say, our names will make the newspapers. We'll get the headline news at the 10 o'clock news, but there are some people who move in this community who are quiet, soft-spoken, but very impactful, and they leave a lasting legacy. And so Miss Maddie McCullough was one of those. You know, when it was time for me to bury my mother, I had no clue how to put a funeral together. And I think what a lot of people miss out on is it was those church mothers like Miss McCullough who wrap you up and wrap their arms around you and tell you it's gonna be okay, and they go out and they plan the funeral and they plan the repast and they tell you, you know, sit down, we got this. And she was one of those ones who just stepped up to the plate and really throughout this community. And it showed by just from the announcement of her passing to the funeral on yesterday, which I got a chance to see via live stream. But when you looked at her, you knew she was a woman of God. She was a person of God, and she was not afraid to let you know it. But she also wasn't afraid to put you in your place if you got out of line too. So we're gonna miss her, and I think that the family would appreciate that. I saw Miss Carla out at the street dedication for Sunrose Rutledge, and so this is a big loss to the African American, or just to Caddo Parish in general. So I'm honored to be a co-sponsor on this thing.
Thank you, Commissioner Jackson. I appreciate that, that background on Ms. McCullough. Commissioner Johnson.
Yeah, I would like to englobo and advance all the special resolutions and the appointment to the Caddo Parish Broadband Committee to Thursday, and be added as a co-sponsor on the Black History Month and the honoring of Dr. Umar Johnson as well.
Second.
Okay, that was a lot to. So we want to englobo and advance to Thursday all the special resolutions, as well as the appointment to the Caddo Parish Broadband Committee, and then you also wanted to be added as a representative on, or a supporter of which co-sponsor?
The Black History Month special resolution is what I
Right.
heard, and then
The honoring of Dr. Umar Johnson.
oh, got it.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Johnson. Commissioner Burrell?
Yes, sir. I too would like to be a co-sponsor on resolution 13, 14, 16, and 17.
Okay, 13, 14, 15, and 17.
16 and 17.
13, 14, 16, and 17. Okay, thank you, Commissioner Burrell. Did you get that, Mr. Clerk?
That was 13, 14, 16, and 17?
Yes, sir.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any comments? I don't see anyone on the board. Mr. Clerk, could we please vote?
Okay. And that motion carries with 12 in support, none in opposition. That brings us to communications and committee reports.
Anyone on the board? Let's see.
Yep.
Commissioner Burrell, is that new or old there?
Well,
You back? Okay. Commissioner Burrell.
Mr. President, since we just went through this planning commission deal, I'm going to ask the administration to work with me on adding at least one urban seat on that commission, since it got past us that two of our urban districts will not have any jurisdiction on any of this. MPC, we can't appoint anybody. On the rural planning, we can't really appoint anybody from our district. There are 12 districts, 10 of which can have an appointment from their district. Two of us cannot, and I don't think that's fair to us. And since the MPC has been for years comprised of both urban and rural appointments, I don't see why anybody would balk on one urban appointment. So that is something that I'm asking here in this particular meeting. It may get voted down, but at least I'll ask. Thank you, Mr. Chair. On behalf of my constituents.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner Burrell. Commissioner Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Since I didn't get a chance to speak on that particular, I think it was a ordinance that Commissioner Chavez had stated, what I wanted to ask is, couldn't we sub the MPC staff to hear those pending zonings, make a recommendation to the body, and then the body vote to either accept it or not, to get them off the backlog?
That's the issue we're writing the Attorney General about as of now. No.
But we're not making, we're not
have to
making
come-
the zoning decision based on, we're getting a recommendation from the MPC staff.
The recommendation normally goes from staff to commission to the governing body.
Right.
And so you have to have a commission
To receive it.
until the AG or somebody tells us that we don't. That's the way your ordinance is written, so no, you can't skip part of it.
It's not actually skipping it, it's making the NPC staff, the commission, to give us a recommendation so that we can vote on it, and then it goes from either up or down. Think about it, let me know.
No, the answer from our perspective, we've already opined on that. That's, no.
But I don't see why not. You can make the staff a commission, temporary commission. They will give us a recommendation based upon their knowledge. We vote on it, and it's done. Their recommendation is gonna be what the person would get from a commission. If they don't like it or people don't like it, they appeal it to us. If they do like it, it keeps on going. And we sub that out to the NPC staff as a commission. Think about it.
In the word, okay.
Think about it.
Do what you
Okay,
want.
thank you.
That's all I
Do
had.
what you
Thank
want.
you, Mr. Jackson. Commissioner Chavez.
Thank
We
you,
good.
thank you, President. Dr. Wilson, on this, resolution 12 of 2022, in regards to the Highway 171, there's some literature in here that just says that the city is gonna work on moving those drains, the water underneath the street, but it doesn't actually say that this will take place until after that's done.
That's correct.
Are you gonna work on that to, I don't want us to overlay this.
Yes,
if
sir.
the city's gonna come back and-
We're not gonna throw good money after a bad situation.
Okay, all right,
Yeah, so you know, my common sense approach to doing business, it don't make sense, we don't do it.
I agree. It's just, it's not written in here in that manner, so I'm just worried about that.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you, Chairman, I'm done.
Okay. Anyone else on the board? Seeing no one, we move on to citizens' comments, late arrivals, Mr. Clerk.
I have not received any. Are there, okay, looks like there might be.
Ever.
Welcome, Ms. Tappy. Welcome back to the commission.
Hi there. Yes, Jane Tappy. I just want to comment on some of the things that were commented on earlier. I know I can't call you out by name, and I don't really want to, but the comments were made that somehow some of us got a burr under our saddle. Some of us were told to, you didn't allude to this, but back through this process, it's already been 2 years of this going on, and we all know what we're talking about. It's not like it happened yesterday and this is new and we're just now starting to investigate and figure out what's going on. It's been going on a long time. And you told us originally when we started all this to go through the legislative process, which we did. Representative McCormick got in there, he worked hard, he did what we asked him to, as all of us and himself included as rural residents. So he did that, and he did an excellent job, and yet it seems that coming from up here, that was chastised. That was a bad thing, and it was kind of, I took it as a snicker, that Representative McCormick went down, did all that hard work, but it was not what you guys wanted when you told us specifically to respond to this legislatively, which we did. So you also commented that if y'all don't like it, they'll come back and fill this house. Y'all can bet if this goes on and on, we will continue to pack the house because you're not listening. You're not listening to, yes, there are rules, and yes, it has been stated that, all right, sorry, I'm trying to gather my thoughts. This all started when we were all living quietly and we started getting citations and fines. That's how it started. Y'all picked the fight. I know y'all know I don't mean all of you. You picked the fight and then you don't want us to respond. So we are going to respond. Some of you we appreciate very much. Some of you, I can say personally, I don't appreciate at all. And the comments that were made that were demeaning to the work that we've done to bring to you guys to fix this. Okay, I know my time is running out. And you didn't use the word wild, wild west a while ago, and I forgot what word you did use to keep referring like we think we are going to be ruling, have no rules under, you're just gonna live under the wild, wild west. We know we're not. We know y'all don't expect us to, so stop saying it. Stop referring like that's what we're saying. We're not. So, I mean, if y'all wanna keep the battle going, we're here. We're gonna be here. We're gonna always be here, and we are gonna keep the battle going. So we don't want a battle. Stop it. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Taffy. Okay, anyone,
Move to
any
adjourn.
other citizens' comments, Mr. Clerk?
We have not received any other requests.
Move to adjourn. Second.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Johnson, a second by Commissioner Jones to adjourn. All in favor? Seeing no one opposed?